Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys formula and America's Medicare Associates. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. The website, arhq.com. Now, when we talk retirement, of course, we're going to start talking about Tupperware. Well, for almost 80 years, Tupperware has been a leader in plastic storage containers for the home. I still vividly remember the brown containers at my parents' house, probably still there with some mismatched lids. But get this, it recently lost over $28 million, and now there's talk that Tupperware might actually go out of business. Makes you wonder how that can happen to a company with $4 billion in annual sales. So guys, for retirees that are investing in a company that goes bankrupt, is one risk of running out of money, but what are the other ways retirees could potentially lose all their money in retirement?
Well, that's a scary number when you think about Tupperware. It's been around my whole life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess the million-dollar question is how do you get the orange out of there after you put spaghetti in?
You don't.
I've not yet figured that one out. But if you think about it, you can think about, people have invested in companies, and we've seen large name companies go bankrupt. And so one of the things, before we give you a couple other tips, I tell you to watch out for right now is know what you own. There's this talk of we might head into a recession. And, the Warren Buffett phrase he talks about is you only know who's not have a swimsuit on when the tide goes out.
Yep.
And, that could be very true if we head into a big recession. So the companies that are not in good financial health could be in big, big trouble if we do head into that stagflation or recessionary environment. So you want to make sure that you own, solid companies. But Jeremy, I think about it. If you've run into different people that you've met throughout the years, we've met hundreds, if not thousands, of people from different university classes and dinner seminars and people that have come into the office. What are some of the reasons why you've run into people that have ended up running out of money in retirement time? What are some of the causes and ideas on how to avoid that?
I think one of the biggest things I've seen is, something like a pension failing. Is, somebody worked for a company. Kmart comes to mind, something like that, or General Motors when they declared bankruptcy. I remember back then it was Ford and GM, and Ford sort of weathered the storm, and GM did go out of business, and people that had money in GM essentially lost all of it. So you have to be careful of things like that. And expenses. Scott could probably get into looking at healthcare. I think, if somebody, long-term care facility, very expensive.
So you think about poor investment decisions as you talk about. One of the challenges I think that I see is people have worked for a company their whole life. Maybe they have a 401k, and inside of that 401k, maybe poor investment decision is putting too much or all of your life savings in the company that you work for. So, you gave some examples of automotive companies that didn't make it in the past. And not only did some people lose their job, they also ended up losing their money that they had invested in the company stock. And then the pensions, we saw a lot of that happen with the airline industry. There's only a certain level of protection that you get from the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation. So want to know what those limitations are, what those coverages are. At the same time, I tell people, I would caution you about not making a decision on your pension because you're concerned about it going out of business. Know what the backing is of that. So making those poor, irrevocable decisions can be painful. Investing in high-risk assets or, trying to time the market, it can lead to significant losses. That, trying to time the market is a very difficult one. I see people all the time, when the market went down, I think of a gentleman who came in recently and, last year when the market went down, he said in October he had enough of it and he got out of the market. And he came in here recently. Well, the market's significantly higher than where it was in October of 2022. And by getting out, it simply locked in his losses. And, the challenging thing I had to tell him is, well, if you get back in now, who's to say short term what the market's going to do? Because the short term, the market's unpredictable. Those are poor investment decisions. Now, Jeremy, you bring up another one. One of the other reasons why, we work so well together, Scott, is because addressing that issue of the unexpected expenses. And, why don't you touch a little on that?
Yeah, long-term care, like you mentioned, Jeremy, long-term care can absolutely destroy a portfolio. In fact, a lot of people, if you don't have long-term care insurance, that's all out of your pocket. And if you have any investments out there, that's your pocket. The investments are your pocket. And, when you're looking at numbers anywhere from, I don't know, it's like 40, 50, $60,000, you could be looking at over $100,000 a year in long-term care expenses, and that's not even at the really, really high-end long-term care facilities, right? That's one thing. And that's what we do here is we look at different plans, we look at policies, we put together programs for you to make sure you protect against that. Unexpected healthcare costs is another one. If you're not properly covered with your healthcare, it can actually blow up a portfolio before you get into retirement. If we talked in a previous segment about healthcare cost prior to 65. You're looking at an individual with a $9,000 deductible and add the premium on top of that, you could be looking at anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. If you have a catastrophic claim, that money's coming out of that same pocket, and that pocket may be cashing in some of your investments when the market is not in the best position or shape to do so. And you just don't have time at a certain age to recover from that.
Yeah, you also look at, running out of money or losing all of your money in retirement time, inadequate retirement savings. As truthful as you need to be. Sometimes I have the painful position of being able to tell people, look, you didn't save adequately for retirement time. I can think of an individual who came to the office and she was getting offered an early buyout for her position that she had at work. And although the buyout seemed nice, if you look at the money she had set aside in her own retirement savings, it wasn't nearly enough to be able to carry her through with any confidence to be able to be safe and comfortable for the rest of her lifetime. And to take that early buyout, she'd have had to give up one of the best income positions here in Northwest Ohio. And so my advice to her is continue taking that. Don't take that early buyout because you need to build up that retirement savings. Scams and frauds. We see them on the news here in Toledo, and they happen all around the world. Of course, there's bad people that are out there, and unfortunately, retirees, they fall victim to scams and fraud, and losing all their money in retirement to fraudulent investments or financial schemes can be a disaster. And market volatility, market volatility number 5 is looking at some significant impact for retirement savings, especially for those who are close to or moving in retirement time. You can have that sequence of return risk. And the last is longevity. A lot of times people say, well, my parents didn't live past the mid-70s, so I planned on my last check bouncing, and all of a sudden here I am age 80, and I already spent all the money. So you've got to be adaptive to what the market conditions are. It goes back to like what we were talking about earlier, is making sure you have enough reliable income so you're not dipping into your fund money too fast that you're taking away from what you need to have money for the rest of your lifetime. Any other tips you'd have about making sure you avoid running out of money in retirement time?
I think paying attention to safe withdrawal rates. It's been Monte Carlo simulated that, you could look at the numbers and it's a 95% chance of probability that you won't run out of money if you stay within the guardrails of a safe withdrawal rate.
I don't want to speculate on how Tupperware is in the situation that it is in right now, but when it comes to retirees potentially losing all their money in retirement, a lot of what you guys said pretty much comes down to neglecting their market risk, neglecting taxation, the probability or possibility of long-term care, and just neglecting to have a plan put in place. These are things that, by and large, could be avoided if you sit down and ahead of time and start putting together that plan. Like with the team at America's Retirement Headquarters, they can help you out and show you where you are and where you need to get to when it comes to your retirement. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. That's how you get started with them. 419-794-3030. And don't forget the website, arhq.com.